Now I'm going to talk about the value premium in international stock market. I'm not going to present the size premium in international stock market. It's usually very small. You get only small size premium. But still, we just use Farr-French three-factor model. But anyway, so let's talk about value premium. Farr-French first find out this value premium in 13 international stock market, the 12 of 13 international stock market. So they find that value stock have higher mean dollar returns than growth stock, value puzzle, right? The difference in dollar mean return is 7.6% on average per year. It's huge. Every year, by investing into HML, for each 12 of 13, you're going to get extra 7.6%. This is the excess return. This is huge. And they find out this is the alpha in terms of world CAPM. So kept the value anomaly. And they suggest a two-factor model with world market portfolio and global HML as an additional factor, just like Farr-French three-factor model, right? They find the puzzle in terms of world CAPM. They add an additional factor as a new systematic risk. Now, Farr-French use only large stock in their study, so there was no size premium. So this study just suggests using two-factor model, but after that, many people find out there are some size premium, small, but there are size premium. There is existence of size premium, so they also add GSMB factor. So that's the international Farr-French three-factor model. Before talking about that, let's take a look at some data here. So 13 stock market, so Australia, Belgium, France, Germany, Hong Kong, except for Italy, so value premiums. So this is HML, excess return. It's huge. 12% if you invest into Australian HML. If you invest into Japan HML, it's almost 10% every year. So it's huge, except for Italy. So based on that value premium, based on the size premium, now we have international Farr-French three-factor model. So the left-hand side is the excess returns. So we assume we are US investor. So we're going to express everything in dollar returns. So everything here is in dollar returns. The left-hand side is the excess return you can get by investing into one stock in the world. The right-hand side, the first term is the world CAPM term. And then we have SMB and HML. This is same as before the Farr-French three-factor model. The only difference is we have now G, which means SMB, HML. You use the global stock, okay? So other than that, this is the same as before. Now, Ruben Host, 1998 JF paper, he first find out the momentum puzzle in international stock market investment. So if his result is this, past winner, if you invest into a group of past winner, that portfolio will outperform the investing into a group of loser by more than 1% per month. So which means annually it's a 12%. Winner minus loser, you get 12% extra return, excess return every year. This is also huge, right? And Ruben Host find out this excess return is after accounting for Farr-French three-factor risk. So this is actually alpha in terms of Farr-French three-factor model. So it's a huge. So specifically, he used the 12 European stock market from 1980 to 1995. So let's talk about actual return here. So this is the 12 European stock market, Austria, Belgium, UK. So this is monthly returns, so you have to multiply this by 12 to get annualized returns. So it's a huge, right? Around almost 10%, more than 10% as an alpha. And you learn, so you're thinking about investing to international stock market, you find momentum in each stock market. What would be your strategy? So you learn topic 4. Are you going to invest into one of the momentum in one market, or are you going to invest into a portfolio of momentum, right? It's better to invest into a portfolio of momentum across different countries. That's what we learned. By doing that, we can reduce some of the idiosyncratic risk. That's what he computed in the next slide here. This is the return from investing into a 12 momentum portfolio with equal weight. So this is the return from portfolio of 12 momentum with equal weight, right? So if you do that every month, so starting from here, first month you're gonna get this excess return, second month, third month, up to 11 months. So small, slightly small negative number, but the cumulative return up to 1 year is huge by investing into this portfolio. We have exactly same situations when we think about momentum in domestic stock market case. If you invest into momentum portfolio up to 1 year, you're gonna get premium. After 1 year, you're gonna lose. So if you start your momentum here, you should sell your momentum at the end of 1 year. And you have to restart the next momentum by ranking each stock based on past 6 months performance, right? Excluding the last month, whatever. So this is the first paper showing us there is a momentum puzzle in international stock market. And you can invest into a group of momentum portfolio. Now, French 2012 gave us more recent empirical result on this one. So I'm going to talk about this one later on. So up to this point, I said the first starting point is World CAPM, and we don't care about integration issue yet. We just care about various puzzle, size, value, momentum when you invest into the international stock market, right? So based on size and value, we got this international version of French three-factor model. Only difference, we just have a global factor. Now, we just got the momentum puzzle in international stock market. What would be the next? The next would be, well, we need to think about this one first. So alpha becomes beta again. So you find momentum puzzle. We can add that momentum factor as a new factors. So this is four-factor model, CART model. Just this is same as before, except for we just have global version of winner minus loser, right? Global version of SMB, global version of HML, global version of winner minus loser. By the way, I'm not interpreting this one because I think you should know this. What is the meaning of this? Let's take a look at this one, for example. The difference between the dollar return on globally diversified portfolio of winners and losers of the past year. So we rank based on the past year performance. And we are not just investing into one winner, we are investing into a group of winners. So in that sense, this is a diversified portfolio, right? That's what I told you. If you have good investment strategy, you're not going to just buy one stock, you're going to buy a group of portfolio to diversify idiosyncratic risk, right? We're doing the same thing here. We are buying a group of winners, we are selling a group of losers. Anyway, what would be the next? Next would be profitability anomaly and investment anomaly in international stock market. Now, French 2017 examined profitability and investment anomaly of 23 developed markets in 4 different regions. Now, this guy is talking about local, regional, and global portfolio. So North America region, Japan, they treat Japan as a separate region because it's very peculiar. And Asia Pacific and Europe, from July 1990 to October 2015, they found that average dollar stock returns, so we assume again we are US investors, so everything should be in dollar returns. Average dollar returns for North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific, 3 different regions, increase with the book to market ratio. This means value premium. With profitability, this is profitability anomaly, and negatively related to investment. This is investment anomaly. What was the investment anomaly? If you buy a group of past low investment portfolio, low investment firms, then you will obtain higher returns, right? You should buy a group of low investment firms. So it's a negatively related means that one. You get lower investment firms, you get higher returns, negatively correlated. Anyway, for Japan, they find value premium, but they didn't find profitability or investment anomaly. So Japan is kind of unique in that sense. So except for Japan, they find this anomaly for all different reasons. And they found that profitability and investment anomaly are not explained by various versions of their international three-factor model. I think they also used CART four-factor model. They couldn't explain this profitability and investment anomaly. So new anomaly in terms of CART four-factor model, French three-factor model. Now alpha becomes beta again. Now we have five-factor model. So we have CAPM term, SMB, HML, RMW, CMA, just like domestic case. Only difference, we got this factor using global stock. So very easy, right? If you understand everything on domestic stock market case, it's just simple extensions. Now, let's talk about the model with partially integrated case. We are using this Baker-Harvey idea again. In a fully integrated market, you're going to use world asset pricing model. In a fully segmented market, you only invest into your domestic stock. We're going to use domestic model. We also call that as a local model. And here, we can think about two different versions of the partial integrations. Well, not partial integration, so the mild integrations and extreme integrations. Okay, sorry. I should say this. Extreme segmentations and mild segmentation. I think that should be more appropriate way of saying this. Extreme segmentation means each country is fully segmented with international market. So UK investor cannot invest into the US stock, any foreign stock. Fully segmented one. Then each country investor should invest in each country, and they should use domestic models. So US investor use US model, UK investor use UK model, French investor use French model, right? Now, mild case, we assume this. Each country is fully integrated inside each region. So Asian stock market, they are integrated, but they are segmented from other region. So that's the mild version of SF. The integrated model, the segmented model, okay? So this is kind of partially integrated world. Your country is integrated into your region, but segmented from other region, okay? Mild version. So for each region, we use regional asset pricing model. For example, US and Canada investor, they're going to use North American, the asset pricing model. While German and French investor, they're going to use European asset pricing model. So remember why we are learning these kind of things. You want to know what are the good benchmark you want to use to compute the alpha, right? So let's talk about multi-factor model with partial integrations. We want to say this as a hybrid model, hybrid weighted average, hybrid of the local and global. So as an example, let's assume each country is fully integrated inside each region, but each region is going through a process of integration with other regions. Then a combination of global and regional factor will appear as asset pricing factors, just like Baker and Harvey. Weighted average of the global and local. Now here, we'll assume regional integrations. So instead of local, we're going to use regional asset, the regional factors. So talk about Farr French three-factor with partial integrations, CART four-factor with partial integrations, and Farr French five-factor model with partial integrations. And finally, we're going to talk about Caroli and Wu four-factor model. So Farr French three-factor model with partial integrations. The idea is easy. You have three factors from global stock. You have three factors from local stock. So first three, ERW minus RF. This is world market excess returns, world CAPM. GSMB, GHML, this is the global Farr French three-factor. So first three are coming from global Farr French three-factor model. Next three, here L means local. So first term is the local market excess return. Second one is the local SMB. Local can be regional or each country. LHML is local HML. So the next three, first three are from global. The next three are from local. So we have 6 factors. But it's not that difficult to understand this model. We have 3 from global, 3 from local. This is kind of weighted average. Weights are inside the beta. Weights are not showing explicitly here. Weights are inside beta. So it's just like Baker-Harvey. Baker-Harvey is a combination of 2 world CAPM. Far-French 3-factor model with partial integration, just combination of 3 global, 3 local, okay? So GHML, GSMB, we talked about this one already. LHML, LSMB, this is the local counterpart of GHML, GSMB. So in the extreme case, if we don't allow even regional integrations, this L will be the each country's SMB and HML. If we allow regional integrations, this LHML could be regional HML, Asian HML, or European HML, or European SMB. So depending upon your assumption on integrations, extreme segmentations, or regional integrations, we could have different definition on this local portfolio. L can be each country or each region. Anyway, so what would be the Carhart 4-factor model? So the first 4 factors are coming from Carhart global model. The next 4 factors are coming from local Carhart model. Again, it's not that difficult to understand this one, just a weighted average of the global 4-factor Carhart factor and local Carhart factor. Okay? If you have any question, you can ask me anytime. Now, obviously, we have Far-French 5-factor model with partial integrations. So first 5 is coming from global Far-French 5-factor model. Next 5 is coming from global, local Far-French 5-factor model, just like before, right? It's very easy to understand this model, weighted average of global and local, right? Now, if I ask you something like, so I talk about this one in practice question, topic 5. So you're the head of some hedge fund, and one of your quant developed new investment strategy in China, for example. So you're working for a US company, hedge fund, and he said he developed a new strategy. If you implement this strategy, you're going to get the very excellent return in the future. He claimed that. So now I want to verify that guy's claim. In order to verify that guy's claim, I have to know what is alpha in that guy's investment strategy. So I'm going to collect historical excess return from implementing that strategy for the last 10 years, use that as a left-hand side variable. Now, when you think about alpha, you should know which model you want to use, right? What is the benchmark you want to use? Are you going to use US domestic stock market model, or are you going to use one model? Now, one of the models you can use is this one, right? So if you think investing into China, well, the markets are not fully segmented or fully integrated, so you want to use partially integrated model as a benchmark model. And you think maybe this Far-French 5-factor model with partial integration is a good model because this model explains many various puzzles in international stock market. So you think this is good benchmark, right? So you're going to run regression, you find alpha. Alpha is not equal to 0, then maybe there are something from implementing that strategy. Well, if I ask that kind of question in the exam, you have to justify why you think certain models are good benchmark you can use to compute alpha, right? So you have to show your reasoning there. You can find similar question in practice questions. Anyway. Now let's talk about some empirical evidence, the Far-French model and 3-factor model, 5-factor model. Based on this empirical evidence, we're going to talk about why we want to use partially integrated model. So Far-French 2012 test So this paper is about international value and momentum. Return in average dollar returns are explained by global model or regional model or hybrid four-factor model. So four-factor means Carhart model. Hybrid model means you have four-factor from global, you have four-factor from local, right? Global four-factor means you have Carhart model with globally computed SMB, HML, W minus loser, right? Regional means you have factors for each region, four-factor for each region, so local model. And they first tried to explain the regional portfolio. What is a regional portfolio? For example, Asian, HML, Asian, SMB, Asian, winner minus loser, many different the factor portfolio or characteristic portfolio, many different portfolio. They find that the global model cannot explain average dollar returns. Remember, if you have a good asset pricing model, your asset pricing model should explain every return from implementing certain strategy. In other words, there should be no alpha. If there's no alpha by using a global model, that means global model is a good model. Okay? This is kind of empirical validations of which model to use. They find that global model cannot explain the regional size book-to-market portfolio or size momentum portfolio. Now, previously, I only talk about size portfolio and momentum portfolio separately. So in one case, you rank every asset in terms of size only, you get 5 portfolio. In other case, you rank every asset in terms of past return performance, and you get the momentum portfolio. Now, we can mix 2 criteria, something like this. We first rank every stock in terms of size. So we have 5 different size portfolio. Then within each size, we can think about ranking stock in terms of past return performance. It's called size momentum sorted portfolio. We're using 2 criteria. First, rank stock in terms of size, 5 different portfolio. And within each size, we rank stock by momentum. So size, first rank by size, and then rank by momentum. Just like that, we can do size book-to-market portfolio, which means we first rank each stock in terms of size, and then within each size, we rank stock in terms of book-to-market ratio, PM ratio, right? So size book-to-market sorted portfolio, size book-to-market momentum portfolio. So they said, the result indicate there is a problem with integrated pricing. So we use global model, but we find alpha. That means this global model may not be the right model. So what would be the different asset pricing models? We may want to use partially integrated model, right? They conclude that we would not use the global model to explain regional portfolio dollar returns. Now, this is kind of weird, but the next, they use a regional model to explain regional returns. They use 4-factor model. Their regional Carhart 4-factor model. So for example, for Asian region, you have Asian version of 4-factor model. Couldn't explain size book-to-market portfolio, but they are less successful when applied to regional size momentum portfolio. So they find still alpha when they sort the regional stock first in terms of size, next in terms of momentum. So you have size ranked and then momentum ranked portfolio. If you invest into that portfolio, you will generate alpha, which cannot be explained by regional factors. So if you think Carhart 4-factor model is a right model, this means there is alpha. There is a return you can earn without taking risk, right? So they find alpha there. So regional model cannot explain the size momentum. Other than size momentum, regional model were able to explain all risky asset returns. So it's a good model, but there is alpha on the list. Well, I have to mention this one. I have been talking about various puzzle of CAPM and Farfrin's 3-factor model. That doesn't mean those models are really bad. For example, CAPM. Other than the five anomaly we have been talking about, most other case you can use CAPM, right? So there are certain anomaly. It's not easy to find that anomaly. If you find new anomaly, that may indicate you can make huge return in your investment, right? So finding new alpha is not that easy. And we just talk about alpha here. So I was worried that might give you this feeling this model is really bad. Well, that model is normally good, but there could be some return which cannot be explained by using that model. Everyone is searching for that. So what I'm teaching here is the summary of those results. Anyway, then they also use hybrid model, the partially integrated model. They conclude that hybrid model add nothing. So they claim that for some reason, when you invest into, for example, China stock market, you have to use Asian four-factor model, not partially integrated model. This is a bit odd because you are a US investor, you are investing to China, why you want to use the China local asset pricing model, not your model or partially integrated model? So it's kind of puzzle. So I'm going to explain that puzzle a little bit later on using the last paper, Carroll and Wu model. They resolved that issue somehow. So the punchline is this. From this paper, you have to use regional asset pricing model for regional portfolio. So they find something like segmented market, even though you can invest into other countries. And regional momentum anomaly, size momentum anomaly, portfolio is still a puzzle. Even when you use regional model, you can find alpha there. They find that things. And 2017 from a French, they test whether the profitability and investment patterns exist in global portfolio, regional portfolio. And they produce 5-factor model, global 5-factor model, and regional 5-factor model. And they say they don't want to investigate the partially integrated model. They just remove that model from their list of the asset pricing factors. So they find that their global 5-factor model can explain the dollar return pattern for 5-factor in each region. So again, this is against the integrated world. When you think about, for example, the profitability puzzle in Asian market, you have to use regional asset pricing model. That's what they said. So use local asset pricing model for regional portfolio. That's what they found. So this is kind of puzzling. Now I want to use this Carroll and Wu model to think about what could be the issue. There are still debates on this one, so this is kind of one possible way of resolving that problem. So Carroll and Wu 4-factor model, they use Carhart 4-factor model. Why they are not using 5-factor model? Because this paper was published, they wrote this paper before Farmer-French 5-factor model. So this paper was about size, value, and momentum. Now obviously you can extend this to the current setting where now you have 5-factor model with partial integration or even 6-factor model with partial integrations. 6-factor model means you add momentum to Farmer-French 5-factor, right? So they said, realistically, we need to think about investability restrictions. So when you invest into international stock market, you cannot invest into every stock in the world. So what I mean by that is they define something like globally accessible stock. So they claim that the problem with this kind of paper, Farmer-French paper, when Farmer-French compute the global factor, they use every stock available in MSCI index or some other well-known index. Now, we have to be careful when we compute global stock. That's the Carroll and Wu's argument. We have to define globally accessible stock as follows. The globally accessible stock, meaning they should be listed in the very well-known market, US, UK, the European market, Euronext. So you should be really able to buy this stock, globally accessible stock. And also, These stocks should be secondarily cross-listed in target market with minimum foreign investment restrictions and reasonably active trading in foreign cross-listed issue. This just means these stocks should be really accessible to every investor in the world. Then they are globally accessible stock. We need to use only those stocks to compute global factors. So the difference is previously you use every stock to compute global stock. Here you have to be very specific about this global stock. Only globally accessible stock should be included to compute global factors. And local factors, you have to remove this globally accessible stock from each country's stock market, and you want to use the rest of the stock to compute locally accessible stock, local factors. So they define global and local differently based on these more realistic assumptions. And they use basically four-factor model with partial integrations. Global factor based on globally accessible stock, local accessible stock. And then they find that their Carhartt four-factor model with partial integrations is at least similar to regional asset pricing model in terms of explaining regional portfolio. What I'm trying to say here is the Farm French 2012, 2017, they found the local models, you should use local model. So when you invest into China, you have to use China model. When you invest into Japan, you have to use Japan model. That seems odd because you are US investors and you can invest into that country. At least you want to use some partially integrated model. Why not using that? Now, this Caroline rule says if we define global stock and local stock more appropriately based on globally accessible one, locally accessible one, now that model is not bad, not worse than the regional model. At least their performance is similar.